Alright, so this is my video on how I made the banners for a local bass rave festival that was last August called SOLBRENT, which basically means sunburnt in English. So I was given these stencils and I did not have anything to do with those. The people arranging the festival gave me these. The first thing I did was to cut them out. So design-wise, I had to incorporate these stencils into it somehow, and they were very similar to the online digital banners that they already made. So basically, I based the first banner just on their banner online, and then the second one, I just took a little inspiration. The letters for the second banner, they were very large, so they took up most of the space that I had to work on. So my original idea for the design of that one had to be scrapped because it would just cover too much of the letters, basically. So I kind of winged it when I got to the second banner. So we kind of talked about which colors I would need together, and I would just say what I would potentially need, and he would buy it for me. Also, the banners, they're black tarps that he bought that I could use. He didn't have a space for me to work. These are huge, right? And it's spray paint, so you kind of have to do it outside or in a well-ventilated area. So I thought I could do it on my rooftop, but there's just so much wind. It's a windy place, especially this high up, and we're by the river. It was impossible. I tried. Kind of a basement that we share with a bunch of other people, and it's closed during the night. So what I did, I had to work on this only during the night, after 11 at night. this blue I thought was a lot darker for some reason. So I started putting it on and then I was like, wait, this is way too saturated, too light. This is not what I wanted. So I tried the different blue that I had that was UV activated, but it was basically the same color, just activated via UV light. So that was a waste. I told him I needed a lot of that blue, and apparently I didn't after all. That was a waste. And I didn't really order any black from him, so I was stressing a little bit here because I had a black on my own, but there wasn't that much left. I spent it, and then luckily a friend of mine had donated some of her spray paints, like the spray paints that she had, and luckily in there was black. Very lucky. I was very lucky. It was pure coincidence. I don't know if I would have been able to finish this in time. Shout out to my friend Ellen for her spray paints. So I don't really know anything about spray paint. I haven't really done much of spray painting before. I mean, sure, you do it on furniture or some stuff like that. Simple stuff. This is not something I've done before. He had also bought some different types of nibs for the cans, and I didn't know what I was looking at. Honestly, most of them felt kind of the same. I would not be doing much detail work anyway, so I mean the stencils would do most of that work for me. The backgrounds were basically all... didn't really need detail nibs for that. However, when I had to cover the whole thing in one color, in black for example, the nib that deposits a bigger spray cloud, or whatever you call it, came very in handy. Okay, so this was so awkward. This is one of my neighbors. I don't really know him that well. We just call him Smiley. Because he smiles, I guess. I don't know his name. During winter time, they like to take a cig down here when it's cold outside. And I was taking up that space. Not that it was winter time. Okay, this was a big problem because with the logo, this is the Eye of Ra, by the way. With that Eye of Ra logo and the text, it just didn't fit next to each other. And it was kind of too late at this point because I had already done the background, like where the white is and stuff. That's where the eye was supposed to be. I just couldn't change it at this point. It was too late. I guess I should have tested it beforehand, but I honestly thought for sure this was their idea, that they wanted it to be this way. But if you make the letters too big, I mean, I don't know what they were thinking. So I just put it aside for a bit. I thought just to think about it for a while I did the eye, just like, I'm just gonna put the eye there, and then I'll deal with the letters afterwards. I struggled with these stencils on the eye. I think I underestimated how long it would take to dry. So I put the stencils on top of the apparently not dried enough. But then again, I think it's because the stencil got spray painted over again, so it got moist and it just stuck to the thick layer of paint underneath. I think my problem was that I didn't remove it fast enough, the stencil. I believe I fixed that, or fixed myself later on with the letters and stuff. It didn't happen again, just with the eye. So I decided to split the text in two. So S-O-L, that means sun, and the rest means burnt. So I decided to just take sun, sol, and then brent a little underneath. I try to make it as smooth as possible, as in not splitting the word up too much, like still keeping it as potentially one word. I guess I could have done a dash, but I don't think that would have looked as nice. Another problem I encountered with the paint that I ordered, I ordered way too little of white, because what I found out is that the letters needed at least 2 coats each, and some of them as much as 3 or 4 coats of white, and I did not have that much white, honestly. So I wish I had ordered less of the blue that wasn't UV activated, and more of the white. Luckily though, my friend, remember that I got some of her spray paints? She had, well, not pure white. She had one that was kind of like a creamy white, and then she had one that was a light gray. And it worked out, because what I did, I did the first few layers with those, and then I put the white that I had on top. It didn't, I mean, not all the letters on the second poster look as good You can kind of see the color difference on the two last letters, but hey, it worked out. So on the eye here, I decided to just wing it on the, just remove the stencils and wing it kind of on the inner parts. And it worked out really, because the eye got more of a soul, the pupil, if you will. So on this one, I learned from my first mistake, so I didn't cover it in blue this time. I just dashed a little bit here and there just to get the texture. I had arranged them as you saw earlier, but they fell out. So these stencils just really annoyed me. I hated these stencils, and they're thin, really thin materials, so they're so flimsy. I was afraid to break them. I was adding some of the blue that activates with UV light, not the other blue that I was using. They look very similar. In daylight, anyway. The very last letter, last stretch. Just hope the paint will last. There was a lot of residue from the spray cans that would, I mean, as you can see, I could kind of just rub it off with my gloves. So I had a bit of a problem with storage. I'm not familiar with this medium, so I didn't realize they were gonna stuck to each other like that, so I had a problem because I don't really have much time to fix it, so wish me luck. Yeah, I didn't have a lot of time to fix it, and I also didn't have a lot of white left. So I was squeezing out every last drop of that white, trust me. And just to have it be said, I did wait the time that it said on the bottles that I needed for it to dry. But the problem here, I think, is that there were so many layers that it needed longer than that, I guess. I also probably would have benefited from a primer, maybe, before spray painting, and possibly a type of varnish, I guess, a sealant. But I was worried that if I put a sealant on top of it, maybe the UV paint wouldn't activate with the UV light. I have no idea if that's the case or not. Like I said, I didn't know. I knew nothing. Of course, I've learned from my mistakes. Now, we've all learned from our mistakes, not just me, the whole crowd. So hopefully we can use these again next year, but I have my doubts because they were falling apart at the scene when we were hanging them up. We had to tape some stuff, like pieces that were falling off. I mean, it looks fine on the pictures, but I don't want to even know or think about how they look now in storage, because folding them up was a problem. As you can see, this one also suffered a little bit, but the damages were not as nearly as bad as the other one. Yeah, I just fixed a little bit on this one. And this is how that one turned out. I mean, I like how it turned out. What I noticed when I was just doing this, some of the spots that were supposed to be yellow were suddenly black when I put the UV light over it, and that was not supposed to be the case. So I found that the yellow that I ordered was not a UV type of paint. I'm not sure if that was intended, or I don't know what I was thinking, to be honest, but luckily I ordered a see-through glow paint, just like a regular UV activated paint. It usually turns like bluish, but it's see-through in daylight. So I decided to just put that on top of all the yellow that I had, and it worked. It doesn't look yellow in the UV light, but at least it's glowing, because when it's not glowing, it kind of ruins the whole fiery effect, right? So this is how I had to leave them to dry because I couldn't put them in storage, God forbid. Luckily no one messed them up. You never know in this part of town. And this is how they turned up. This was the entrance to the festival. You can see some pieces fall off. And this is how it looked in UV light. One of the artists, they had an entry in front of it, and that was kind of cool. Now you'll see some clips from the festival. Blast into space, engage the hyperdrive. Da det nedrigg for en fantastisk festival. Kom neste år.